The rising sign in astrology, also known as the ascendant, is interesting. It's not just indicating the prominence of a certain zodiacal archetype in your life, your personality, or your birth chart, right? It isn't just saying, here's a sign that is important to understanding who you are. It's saying a little bit more than that, because along with giving an indication of you in your birth chart, your rising sign is setting up your perspective. It's letting you know where you can find yourself in your chart, your point of view, your view of everything else. And so when we set up the rest of the birth chart, not only is it dependent on the rising sign, in that your rising sign determines what is your first house and then the distribution of all the other signs on all the other houses, it also sets up your understanding of all of those other houses. And we constantly reference back to the first house or the ascendant as a way of figuring out what an area of life means to us as a person, or how we relate to it, right? So your rising sign sets up your whole birth chart. There is no birth chart without it. And it is an indicator of you. It can indicate your personality, your relationship with yourself, especially when taken into account along with its planetary ruler, your chart ruler. These will give a good indication of you and your perspective in your chart. But your rising sign is also saying where everything else lives. Your rising sign puts everything in your birth chart into context, because it creates the structure for your birth chart. So knowing that, I would like to do a series on the rising signs. So I'm thinking a video for each one. We'll go through them from Aries to Pisces, and we'll talk about, yes, the archetypes of that sign as a rising sign, but also how that rising sign, how that ascendant sets up the other houses, sets up the signs on the other houses, and what that means as well. So we'll go through like house by house what each rising sign is indicating about the life of the chart holder. So if you're interested in that, follow along, because we're gonna get that going, and we'll start with Aries.